Connor McDavid's the best player in the game on a team that was already vastly underachieving. So make no mistake, this is an enormous hit. Alongside Ryan Rishaug and Craig Button. Ryan, after just 4 wins to the first 10 games, the pressure was already on McDavid's supporting cast. How much is that now magnified, and do they have the horses to carry the load without him?
Yeah, you would think that they do, Gino, because you got players that have put up numbers in the past. The problem is they're not putting up numbers right now. The biggest issue that the Oilers have had in the early going this season and why they're underachieving, their offensive players have not been producing at the same level. I'm talking about the likes of Zach Hyman, who was so prolific in his goal scoring last year. Ryan Nugent-Hopkins. Victor Arvidsson has come in here as well. They don't have an even strength goal among the three of those players. Leon Draisaitl has picked it up recently, but bottom line, a team that was scrambling and struggling to find its footing offensively, to find its footing on the power play, just lost the guy that, drives the bus on both of those fronts. So do they have the horses? Well, they didn't have them when McDavid was in the lineup because they weren't able to produce, and now he's gone. So the pressure's on big time for this thing to turn quickly offensively.
Craig, the Oilers are 13th in the West. Their minus 13 goal differential is the worst in the league, and most of that came with McDavid in the lineup. If he's out for the full 3 weeks or more, that'll be a quarter of the season gone. They've recovered from horrible first quarter action last year, but is this current roster better or worse prepared this year for that sort of turnaround if they need it?
A few things to that, Gino. Number one, they have some luxuries that other teams don't have. Namely, Ryan Nugent-Hopkins can play in the middle of the ice. Now, nobody is ever going to replace Connor McDavid, but Ryan Nugent-Hopkins' ability to slide into the middle of the ice, that's a nice luxury to have. And then you can fill in on the wings. You look at their team offensively, when you look at their offensive metrics, they've been outstanding. And the goals are going to come if they keep playing that way. Now, on the other side of things, defensively, they haven't been that good. Last year, similar types of problems engulfed this team. If they improve on the defensive side of things and they get some of the rewards for their good offensive play, yeah, they can withstand it. I think there's another factor here. It's the weighty expectations on this team. Game 7 of the Stanley Cup final. I was one that picked them to win the Stanley Cup this coming season. And it came with this caveat that I had faith that they were going to fix the area of their team that needed fixing. Additions on the blue line. And certainly that is still the case. But do I think they can overcome a 4-5-1 start without McDavid? Yeah, I do. They have one of the best players on the planet in Leon Draisaitl. They still have a top pair and some really good, solid play. And if anything, I think that this may be able to help them become a little bit more attentive to the defensive side of things in the absence of Connor McDavid. And then that area of their game can improve. So I don't have any doubt that they can overcome the loss of Connor McDavid, and they're not going to fall out of it. The biggest thing for the Oilers is to be prepared when the playoffs begin to try to get to a better outcome than they did this past season.
No one's obviously going to fill the void left behind by McDavid, but somebody's got to step up and lead. We've seen some significant swings in Leon Draisaitl's game. How important is this next stretch for him personally, Ryan?
Yeah, I think it's really important, and I think on a number of fronts, right? So there's the production. Like Draisaitl's got 6 goals and 4 assists in 10 games. That's below where his production might normally be. But he's been coming on here in the last week or so. So that part of his game is rounding into form. But I think, when Connor McDavid is in the lineup, there's a little more space for Leon Draisaitl to kind of be Leon Draisaitl. Where he gets a little, the body language gets away from him when he gets frustrated. The details in his game, maybe if things aren't going his way, takes him a little bit to get going some nights. There's space for him to do that when Connor McDavid is going over the boards as the number 1 center. That space is gone. The Oilers need the absolute best of Leon Draisaitl for the next 2 or 3 weeks. That means attention to detail. That means pushing through frustration, not taking bad penalties. That means good body language. That means all of the leadership that we all know Leon Draisaitl has in big moments. Well, they're going to need it every single game while Connor McDavid is out of the lineup.
Leon Draisaitl is one of the very best players in the game. And all the points you just made, Ryan, are accurate and fair. I'm betting on Leon Draisaitl to pick up his game and by extension to help the Oilers pick up theirs.
How's this for a coincidence, guys? If McDavid returns to the projected 3-week timeline, he would be coming back at almost exactly the same time the Oilers' incredible turnaround began last season. That turnaround involved a coaching change, and this one would mark the return of a rested and healthy Connor McDavid.